We're going to have Q&A at the last few minutes here. So last 5 to 10 minutes, I'll do some Q&A. But for the most part, I wanted to basically just go pretty high level on what Cosmic offers, why it exists, some of the really cool things we see in the API service industry, talk a little bit about some of the tools that we offer, staying pretty high level on the Cosmic CLI, just some of the basic things you can do, some of the starters we have available, and then kind of seeing how that translates into your Cosmic JS dashboard, because I think for the most part we have mainly developers here, but also just when you're on a team of cross-functional team members, you want to be able to let them know how to use Cosmic to the best of their ability. And so we really want to make that easy for that handoff between developers and content managers. And so I'll go over a little bit about that in the last 10 minutes of the presentation, and then we'll have QA at the end. All right, so just kind of if you're unfamiliar with what Cosmic JS offers, so we are really positioning ourselves in the industry as a collaboration tool, not just another headless CMS or developer tool. We really want to get developers and content managers and editors, marketers together to build applications faster and easier. So just to kind of go over a little bit of our history, Carson and I, Carson's on the webinar, you'll see his name's Carson Gibbons. We worked together for years at a digital agency in Dallas. I was leading the digital team, building out WordPress websites. He was on the account management and business development end of things, so he was really being the middleman between developers and the clients that we had who were getting these WordPress websites. And so kind of in this recreation of the wheel, every single time a project came up, we hit a lot of pain points. We knew that there was budget constraints, time constraints, and so this was 2014, where nothing really existed to allow for easy content management in a cloud that you could basically just deliver to your application via API. And so that's where we saw the potential, the opportunity to really build something that could satisfy our needs, as well as maybe release it for other developers and other teams to use. So as basically I was building this out for a couple of years, putting some side projects on it for a little while, got a lot of great beta feedback from different developers all over the world who really saw the same pain points and really wanted to use something that was out of the box, satisfied their needs. So then we incorporated in 2016 and got everything together to kind of keep the so if you're just joining, we're talking about a little bit about the history of Cosmic and why it exists. So after all those pain points and beta testing, we got basically incorporated 2016. So we've been basically seeing a lot of different projects being built on the platform in the last couple of years, and seeing a lot of different use cases. And so we're excited to really push things forward and try to get more developers, more teams building API-first applications. And so that's pretty much high level where we're at today. Is we have a lot of these different use cases. If you go to our case studies page on the website, cosmicjs.com, can you guys see everything okay? Feel free to interject and say if it's too small. I'm happy to kind of make things a little bigger to easily see. But yeah, go ahead and unmute yourself and you can just chime in. It's okay. Okay, so basically, I want to go over a little bit. So we're kind of going over time already. So I want to go over a little bit about maybe the API service industry. Like if you go to stripe.com, this is obviously one of the inspirations behind what Cosmic JS offers as far as like easy development tools, great dashboard. We really like Algolia. These are the tools where we see ourselves as being on the forefront of application development, being one of the tools in your toolbox to really build applications faster, scale it easily, really eliminate a lot of the bottlenecks and satisfy that pain point that we initially had, which was budget constraints, time constraints. Let's leverage the tools that are available. Let's stand on the shoulders of great projects that have already been built, and let's move things forward. Okay, so that's basically Cosmic JS's background, and where we're heading is we really want to be one of those tools that you go to for easy integration into your modern web applications, So even native, IoT, VR, we see a lot of use cases with different platforms as well. For our demonstration today, I'm going to go ahead and just do pretty much web-based use cases, but you can see the potential for other use cases as well. All right, so that wraps up the intro. So let's go into some basics. So I'm going to jump into some fun coding stuff really quick, trying to stay as high level as possible. So go ahead and feel free to follow along with me if you want as well, and we'll just kind of go through some of the cool stuff you can do with the Cosmic CLI. All right, so let's go to the NPM page. So if you go to npmjs.com, Cosmic CLI, I'll go ahead and add the link here for you guys to check out. All right, so we got basically this is an awesome CLI that basically mimics what you can do with the REST API. We really try to keep it as much as a feature parity as possible. You can go to the documentation page and find a link to it there as well. But basically, let's see, when I go ahead and open this. So if you go to the REST API, you'll see just kind of all of these capabilities to authenticate users, add buckets. It's all there available within your Cosmic command line interface. So let's get it up and running with this. I'll show you how to do that. So let's go to desktop sandbox. So to install this, we do npm install globally Cosmic -CLI, right? Okay, so once that's installed, make sure you have Node. I believe the latest stable is preferable, but I think maybe like Node 8 and up, you should be okay with some of the stuff. I think there's some promises, but and some other kind of modern Node requirements there, but for the most part, you should be good at 8+. All right, so just kind of getting started here, we can type just straight Cosmic to see what's all available here. Can you guys see okay? Do I need to blow this up anymore? Are we good? I'm going to check the notes. Okay. All right, so basically you have, login. You can figure out, which user is currently in the session. You can get your buckets. I'm going to go ahead and log into my my Cosmic JS account here. So if I do Cosmic login, it'll ask for the email, spiro@gmail.com. It'll ask for my password. All right, now it says authenticated. Let me make this a little bit easier to read. Hopefully centered. Is that centered for everyone? Okay. All right, so now I'm authenticated, so I can do Cosmic which user, and it'll tell me which user it is, just in case you have multiple accounts. Okay, so now let's go ahead and do Cosmic get buckets. Okay, so get buckets. So this will give me kind of an easy, easy to view rundown of all of my buckets within my account. So this will make it easy for me to connect to my bucket. So if I do Cosmic use bucket, that's the way to connect to my bucket that I want. You know what? Sorry, let me get that bucket list again. Okay, so Cosmic use bucket. So if I want to use, let's say I want to use Zapper. We just rolled out some awesome Zapier integrations. So so I've got this test bucket called Zapper to kind of test some of those Zapier integrations. So I'll use the bucket Zapper, and that trial has ended. Okay, let's do test deploy. Let's see if that's available. All right, so I'm on test deploy. So basically what I can do here is interact with my Cosmic JS bucket. I can do Cosmic get objects. And okay, so it taps into that that API endpoint, and it'll tell me like all the objects that are in there. So you can do some sort of some fun command line stuff if you want to mess with the API on that level. For our intent and purpose for this tutorial, let's go ahead and get into some of the starters that you can install, because I think this is where the CLI really shines to show you like really how to get started quickly with some of these modern applications. So if you go to the Getting Started page on Quick Start, it walks you through basically how to get everything started for your Node project, for a React project, Vue, Gatsby, and serverless. So kind of choose your modern app framework that you want to go with, and this will get you up and running in a few commands. So it's pretty nice. So let's go ahead and let's jump into this Node one. This one is pretty simple. So you've already ran this command, the CLI. So let's go ahead and init this starter, and you can just do a simple copy and paste like I'm going to do here. Let me add a new bucket for this really quick. Cosmic add bucket. Let's see. Oop, misspelled it. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and, let's see, delete bucket. Let me delete some buckets on my account here really quick. Let's see. Okay, we got a few of these. You know what, I can just probably use this one. Let me go here. Okay, so let's do Cosmic init node starter, and that should go ahead and import. Use test deploy. Starter content at the bucket test deploy, yes. All right, so in those couple short commands, we'll be importing that test data into our bucket, as well as installing that code base locally. So if I go ahead and show ls here, you'll see the node starter is already there. So I can just do cd node starter and then cosmic start. All right, and here we go. Now we're connected to our test deploy bucket. I actually don't think that imported the data. So we may need to, I may need to just delete these objects and try to run that again. Unfortunately, I think it restricted me. So let's see if I can redo this really quick. Delete object types. So this is basically like having a fresh bucket. I just delete everything in here. Let's run this one more time just so I get that demo content in. So revert. Okay, so let's do remove our node starter. Might need to sudo that. Let's try it. Okay. Oops. All right, so let's do this one more time, see what happens. Hopefully I'll get that demo content in. That's what we're trying to get. Test deploy, installing. So the reason why it only works on those on an the reason why it doesn't import the content with a bucket that already has objects is that I wanted to make sure it was fail-safe and then it didn't import into like a production bucket or something that maybe messes up some live content. So it checks to make sure that you don't have existing content before it imports the data. So that's why that failed the first time, because I already had content in there. So if I cd node starter, so this should have added, I'll do cosmic develop. That command should open it up in development mode for us. And there we go. Okay, so now I have my demo content in there. So let's see if I can pull this up. In my dashboard, all of that content should be in there. Let's see, test deploy. All right, so now, as you can see, it did import my data. So I have my pages. I have home, about, contact, home, about, contact, and then there's a not found page in there as well to make sure that you can handle 404s as you would for any other website. And this is where you can go to kind of check out the code base. So I'll go ahead and add this this link there so you can check out the node starter. All right, so that's basically the CLI. Really powerful, really cool stuff. You can do all sorts of stuff with this bucket. So just to kind of show you really quickly some of these commands. So let's say I wanted to get, quickly get an object from here. So Cosmic get object with the slug home, right? That would be my home page. There it is. So I've got, kind of a really easy functionality within the CLI to interact with my bucket. If I wanted to Cosmic edit object, if I wanted to change this, so let me just look at the old content first on here so I can show you. So with home, this is the home page content. That's the content that's currently there. Double dash that, and then it'll go ahead and change that to new content right there. Okay, so some really cool stuff, interactions with the REST API, some good feature parity there for really basic bucket adding, editing objects and whatnot. So yeah, take a closer look at some of the cool stuff in the CLI and let me know what you think. If you have any questions after that, let me know. But that's pretty much the CLI. You can do some really powerful stuff within your bucket. And yeah, so that's pretty much it. We're kind of already in the dashboard, so let's take a look at just a lot of requests that we get for dashboard content modeling is sort of like the one-to-many type of content. So like, for instance, for blog posts, adding categories. So really quickly, I wanted to go over what that looks like in the Cosmic JS dashboard. So we've already got this post object type, and I'm kind of skipping ahead a little bit, but getting an object type set up is really simple. Just go over here to the add object type area, add all your information, and earlier this was set up with posts. So let's go ahead and add a new post, and in this demonstration, I'm going to show you how to add categories to a blog post. So so adding a new post is fairly easy, right? You just say new blog post, then you have some content here, and we have some required fields for images. So let's go ahead and add some of these images in, and some of this other required, some of these required fields. All right, so there's no author yet. So let's go ahead and publish this. And so we have our blog post, and we want to add a new meta field here for categories. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to add a meta field for, add an object type for categories. And we'll just make it a straight, just a title for now, just to make it easy. So we'll save that object type. So we have our categories. Let's add a few categories. So let's do tech. And actually, this should be a singular. So it's category E. That would be better. Okay, so now we can add a new category, tech. Let's see, design. All right, so now we have our categories set up here. If we go to our blog posts, and for all new posts, we want to include a category or categories. We'll go ahead and add a multiple objects relationship. So we'll call this categories, and it will search only our categories object type. Okay. All right, so now we can save this post, settings, and let's go back into our blog posts. And for this new blog post, let's go ahead and create, add some categories. So you can either use this this kind of modal selector, or you can just type it straight into here, and you get those kind of nice little autocomplete pills in there, and you can drag and drop those around, which is nice. All right, so we save it, and that's how you add kind of this one-to-many relationship. You can check in your endpoint and see not only does the category come through, but it also has some of this nice metadata for you on the category. And that's pretty much it for the one-to-many. I really wanted to make that easy to get up and running because it's a very common use case. So, so that's how that's done. All right, we're kind of wrapping it up here. I wanted to open it up for some QA time, but I wanted to get into just touch on extensions really quick, because this is also something that we get asked quite often, is how can I extend the experience within Cosmic JS? And this extensions link here in your settings tab should show you just some of the cool stuff you can build on top of Cosmic. We get some great contributions within our community for some of these API service integrations. We have a Twitter search where you can search your Twitter feed or Twitter hashtags for different content to add to your bucket. Algolia search, we make it easy to integrate Algolia to be able to add all of your new content and existing content into Algolia's fantastic search platform to make that available in your application really seamlessly, so you can just basically install this and then you're up and running. All of your content is in Algolia, and all you have to do is just add a little code into your app and be able to pull it through. Google Analytics in your dashboard on Cosmic is always nice to be able to kind of check in. I want to show you this one really fast, because this is a really interesting one. If you like stock photography, Unsplash is awesome, so we'll install this Unsplash extension just to kind of show you what it does. So what the extension does is it adds another link over here for this specific extension adds a link over here so you can check out some of these really cool stock photography images that are available through Unsplash. So if you search like cars, you'll be able to kind of pull that through immediately into your bucket, which is really nice. We find ourselves using this quite a bit with our own company blog and whatnot. It's just really nice to have easy access to these images, and you can just simply add it directly into your bucket. And then what that does is some of these are pretty high quality images, so it might take a little while for it to load in. What it does is it adds it to your media area. So if you do want to go and use some of this stock photography, you just click right into it, and boom, there it is, ready to go, and you just add it right in there. So you don't have to go clicking around to their website. You just need like a quick stock image. So that's pretty much it for the demo. So I'll go ahead and open this up to Q&A. Does anybody have any notes or thoughts on what we've seen so far, or anything else you want to see demonstrated in this session? And I remind you, you're all on mute, so if you're talking, you might want to just put it in the chat, if not. Okay, so I have, can you do the same type of object relationship for a commenting system? Yeah, definitely. So for commenting, what you would need to do there is basically, I would say, instead of categories, this would be comments, right? And then in the documentation, you'll see how to add meta fields, right? So we have, I want to say not connect objects. Let's see. Yeah, this is it right here. So in the connect objects area, you'll see that, let's see, add object. Okay, so this is where you'll want to look, and let me know if this is too small. I can make it a little bigger. But this is the link I would point you to get that going. So for like a commenting type of system, what you would need to do there is basically, so you would want to do a one. So let's say you're on your application has like a text area, a submit button to submit a comment. What you would need to do there is add it to the meta fields area in your object, right? So you would do like a it would be like a put, it would be a put request, or actually if you're using the npm module, it would be just this method edit object, and then you would edit the object, and then in the meta fields, you would append, to the to that meta field, the ID of the object. So it would be basically a two-step process. You would add the object, which is, in this case, instead of categories, it would be comment, and then on that response, you would get the ID, and then you would send the ID into a meta field on the edit object method, right? So if you have that, let's see, let me show you how that's done. Okay, so in that edit response, you would instead of categories, like exactly right here, you can see how that's done, right? So categories, the key would be comments. The type is the most important thing here, right? It's objects, and then object type is comments, and then so this is where it's going to map to your object type in your system, and then you would just take all of the existing ones here, and then append the new ID of that comment that you just added into Cosmic, right? So that's how you can perform that that relationship, if that's how you wanted to do it. Now, personally, I would probably do it a different way. I would say that I would want to maybe not do that last step and just add the comment into the system, but with the ID of the object added to that comment. So like when you do pull in your comment data, you can basically just filter by ID for that specific blog post, and then you can push out all your comments. Right? That's my preference of how to handle that. Rather than pulling it directly from the object, I would rather kind of map it to the comments object type, if that makes sense.
Tony, isn't there an example in this simple view blog of someone utilizing Discus as a commenting piece of application? Is that applicable here?
Totally. If you want to leverage the external service of Discus, yeah, totally, you can do that. I want to say that there's a few examples of of commenting systems. Let's go to the apps marketplace really quick. So this one's really cool. This is a the View Music website actually has the commenting ability right on this. So right directly on the go out onto the actual. Okay, so it has commenting ability right here, like on the page, like on the track page, which is pretty cool. So you can talk about how awesome. Or actually, I guess maybe it's by album instead. So you can talk about the album So we get, we're getting these comments here. What I just described, that's how this works. It basically keeps those separated, so you just have the, object type for comments and the object type for albums, and then it relates the comment, as in a meta field, like in a text meta field, it'll take the object ID and store that in the comment object, right? What Carson's talking about is using Discus, and this one uses Discus here. So if you, I think I'm pronouncing that right, maybe Discuss, maybe just like the actual verb. So this one has Discuss. So you can kind of see, oops, where are we here? So you can see here on all of these blogs, you'll have, this Discuss capability, and I believe that this has kind of the ID and everything necessary for this to show up. I think that's stored as in the settings object type on this application. But yeah, this is another route as well if you really want to kind of leverage a different service for the comment system. That's totally possible too. All right, I'm going to look at some other questions here. Let's see. What would the benefit be of using Cosmic Gatsby Starter versus another Gatsby Starter and adding Cosmic after the fact? So we have a Gatsby Starter. Great question. So we have this Gatsby blog. Actually, this is not the Gatsby Starter, right? So this is something you can also take a look at for using. I'll go back here. I'll add this. So here's the Gatsby blog. This does not use the Gatsby Starter, but it does use the Gatsby. Let's see. It uses the Cosmic JS Gatsby Plugin. Okay, so if you go, let's see, dependencies, Cosmic Source Plugin, right? So you can see the Gatsby Source Plugin is being used. It's not using the starter though. For the starter, it's kind of up to you, like your preference, I would say. The starter does give you some nice things right off the bat. So we can do this here as well. So I'll kill this. Let's do, oops. So we'll do Cosmic Init Gatsby Starter. We can use that same bucket because it has all the demo data already there. And let's see what the Gatsby Starter has under the hood. So it basically has the same thing that the kind of more built-out blog has, but it kind of, you can just tune this one up, which is nice, rather than having to remove a bunch of stuff out of that other one. But it's kind of up to you. I don't think there's anything really that's a gotcha on this. Just a quick note, it does use Gatsby version 1, right? And I believe Gatsby version 2 is maybe in beta right now. We're working on, this is definitely on the roadmap to get this updated for Gatsby version 2. Let me just check the Gatsby stuff and see if version 2 is out yet. Yeah, so it's in beta right now. So version 1 works great for now. We're definitely gonna roll out a source plugin to integrate with version 2 very soon. So so I would recommend getting started with the starter, and then I guess the only gotcha would be you would need to get ready for version 2, which would just require making sure that it's compatible with their. I think there was just some things that they changed with like their GraphQL API and things like that. But for the most part, I heard people on Twitter saying they converted to version 2 fairly painlessly, like in a short amount of time. So I don't think it's really going to be that big of a deal. If you do go with the Gatsby Starter, I think you should be all set there. So does that answer your question? Cool. All right. Okay, thank you, Aaron. See you later if you're still here. Okay, so anything else? Any other comments or questions? Any other features you want to see or go over? I think we have a few minutes left. We can do another feature run through if you want. No, we just had somebody new come in. Is there anything else that new person Amit, if you have anything that you really wanted to see in this webinar, now is the time. Last call. All right. Well, thank you everybody for joining us for our first. This is our inaugural webinar. We want to make it a fun, thing to do in the middle of the week during lunchtime for some people on the East Coast, and maybe a little more morning time on the Central and West Coast. But thank you for joining us. And if you have any other questions or any other thoughts on building modern apps with Cosmic JS, I'd love to hear about them. Feel free to reply to that email that I sent out to invite you guys to the link here, and just let me know some of your thoughts or any kind of things you want to take offline, and I'll be happy to address those. So thank you guys. Have a great rest of your week, and you guys build some cool stuff. All right, see you later.